You are now the wayward vagabond. Vagabond, retreat. Got him already. Vagabond, examine rotten pumpkin. What pumpkin? Vagabond, check the little red bar. It appears to be a gauge for a large power cell, perhaps fueled by some type of nuclear reaction. If this is the case, it is relatively low on fuel, but who knows how long it has been running here. You do not care about this sort of nonsense, and you will disregard it at once. You are very hungry. Vagabond, captchalogue can of gravy. Captchalogue? You have no idea what that means. It is total nonsense, and you do not know what to make of it. You will not give the foolish notion a second thought. Vagabond, pick up the can of gravy. Just pick it up. You just pick it up. You are now holding the can of gravy. Vagabond, use sharp teeth to poke a hole in the lid of the can. Your teeth are useless for the task. They are blunt, like that of livestock, presumably suitable for mashing up plant matter and not for puncturing metal. Vagabond, attempt to open can with your weak, pathetic digits. Your weak, pathetic digits are not strong enough to penetrate the can. Your fingers are certainly pointy enough, and your black carapace is suitably rigid, but you just don't have enough muscle for the task. Vagabond, take the can labeled beans. Okay, you take that too. Vagabond, examine can of custard. The can clearly reads mustard, a fact of which you were perfectly well aware. It is sort of cumbersome holding all these cans at once. You doubt you can hold many more than this, maybe one or two. You need to find something to put stuff in if you want to carry a lot of things around. Vagabond, examine marking on wrist. You drop all the cans and look at your wrist. It is a sort of specialized barcode pattern. This brings back unpleasant memories, and you would prefer not to dwell on it. Vagabond, examine the small potted plant. What plant? Burp. Vagabond, check book on human etiquette. It appears half the pages of this book have been eaten. The daunting volume is considerably lighter than it once was. Sustenance, intermediary. This is the key. Consumption. You are somewhat skeptical about the nutritional value contained by these pages. However, the practical wisdom they contain, there can be little doubt. You have learned so much. Vagabond, clear out all the cans inside the purple machine. You empty the peculiar cabinet and take a quick inventory of your canned goods. You have beans, mustard, gravy, bread, shrimp, asparagus, cheese, rice, corn, peas, flour, chestnuts, mayo, ham, potatoes, and squash. Such bountiful plenty, and yet the delights taunt you from within their small metal prisons. Vagabond, search the room for can opener. You've already looked all over the place for a can opener, even making a few electronic inquiries about one, to no avail. Nothing else inside the purple thing either. Vagabond, locate a nearby sharp object. You wield your trusty knife. This is actually you're not sure what they're called? It's an old rusted one of those red mailbox arm swingy flappy doodads. Either for letting you know there is mail in the box, or maybe for alerting the mailman to outgoing mail to be collected. You don't know, really. You wrapped a little piece of cloth around it for the grip. It is useless at opening cans. Vagabond, be the imp. This means nothing to you. You're not an imp. You have no idea what an imp is, and you will not entertain such frivolous and childish ideas ever again. You feel stupid and hate yourself a little for even considering it. Vagabond, become the mayor of Cantown. As the glorious founder and mayor of Cantown, you erect a dignified, majestic city hall out of cans, fittingly capped off with a tome of good manners for the roof. You've given yourself a very official and important looking mayoral sash made out of old cables to complete your look of authority. A number of rather civic-minded citizen cans gather in front of the building to offer adulation to their fair and magnanimous leader. All is well. You immerse yourself in this beautiful dream as you whittle away the minutes, or perhaps hours. You love the idea of being mayor. You love everything about mayors, and the concept of an orderly civil democracy. It all seems so mannerly and reasonable to you. Everyone is friendly and happy, and the city runs like clockwork. The foundation of the government is based on mutual respect between the leader and its people. It is also built on having a really great mayor that everyone loves, who is totally amazing and heroic and brave. Mayors are so much better than kings. You hate kings, and you think kings are really stupid. They're petty, bossy tyrants, and they're really full of themselves, and are basically awful in every way. Gosh, do you hate kings. Vagabond, explore west of Cantown. Over here is the other side of the room. There is another one of those purple storage boxes and some useless objects scattered on the floor. Vagabond, use glowing green rock to open cans. You pick up the nugget of uranium and... Oh, that was so stupid. Why would you do that? He says burp. Vagabond, examine box of crayons. It's chalk, numbnuts. Inside the box there are 12 pieces of chalk in every color of the... 10 pieces of chalk in most colors of the rainbow. You are excited by this. It's a little chomp chomp. Vagabond, try to open the storage box. It's locked. There must be some sort of release mechanism for this thing. Vagabond, examine contents of yellow container. This container is full of motor oil. This does not seem useful to you right now. Vagabond, rescue that poor lightning bug. There's nothing you can do for this new little friend. Attempting to crush the amber encasing the firefly would likely cause it harm. It nevertheless bravely flashes on. You find its light alluring, inspiring. To you it seems as if it could quite easily serve as the light of democracy. Vagabond, use the chalk to draw some roads. You can Parkway, Can Boulevard, City Hall, and Can Street. You sketch a handsome network of sprawling thoroughfares for your citizens to traverse. The adoring population applauds its mayor's keen instincts for city planning. You even add some lush vegetation to your city with a piece of blue chalk, because you can't seem to find a more suitable color for some reason. Vagabond, lay a chalk foundation for Cantown's civic growth. You develop westward, settling those fertile plains and claiming them for your city. You section off a number of residential and commercial zones for civic growth, arranged in the only logical pattern that occurs to you. You color the residential zones with your piece of white chalk, but for some reason none of the colors in the box strike you as suitable for the commercial zones. Perhaps there's an alternative. Vagabond, use your own pee for the commercial zones. You cannot urinate because you have not had anything to drink in quite some time. You're very thirsty. Also, that is a really terrible idea, and you would not consider befouling your wonderful city in that way for even a moment. Vagabond, use motor oil to designate commercial zones. You fill each empty square with a bit of motor oil to complete the zoning. It looks rather striking to you. You can hardly imagine that an up-and-coming young can trying to make it in the world would not be delighted to live in your fair district. You're very careful not to get any of the unpleasant fluid on your person. Vagabond, peel label from can of mayo and affix to sash. He added a tiny R. Vagabond, survey surroundings in search of more terrain for city. It seems you have run out of territory for your western expansion, but there is still a lot of empty wall space. Perhaps your citizens would be happier with a colorful backdrop that would make them feel more at home. Using most of your imagination and an entire piece of sky blue chalk, You render a bright and cheerful sky full of clouds. You've decided very closely orbiting your city is a luminous planet, about which orbits a single moon. You switch to another shade of blue and continue rendering on the western wall. Orbiting much further from your city are 4 planets. None of these have satellites, you have decided. Yes, that makes sense, you think. And on the southern wall, beyond an impenetrable veil of darkness, occupying the furthest orbit yet, there's an ominous planet. A moon circles this one too. Vagabond, check out that rampaging boy on the screen. Oh yeah, it's that guy. You'd almost forgotten about him and his confusing shenanigans. It seems like he has things well in hand at the moment. He does not appear to need your help, and you have already concluded that he cannot help you, at least for the time being. Vagabond, turn on the other 3 screens. You have no idea how to turn these on. There's no mouse for this weird quadra-monitored computer. It can only be operated through text commands from its keyboard. Perhaps there is a special key or command which will allow you to switch to another monitor? Vagabond, press tab. Try. Vagabond, consume several cans. You free the heavenly brown elixir from the jewels of pink carapace and imbibe like the wind. It is so sweet and sugary. You wonder how so much sugar can fit in one can. Whatever mighty wizard concocted this potion is truly deserving of your fear and respect. Vagabond, welcome the rest into the city. The tabs are naturalized as loyal new citizens of Cantown. All cans are welcome and equal in your city, regardless of can content and whether empty or full. It's not like emptying a can kills it or anything. They're just cans after all. Vagabond, hit escape. Feeling refreshed and heavily caffeinated, you go back to work on the big computer. You hit escape, which seems to minimize the action window thingy, and reveals a history of all the commands you've entered. You use the arrow key to scroll up a bit. You can't believe how much you've already typed into this stupid contraption. What a waste of time. Home, view, switch 2, switch 3, switch 4, switch 1, escape, lock room 3, password, view, reboot. Boy. You scroll all the way up to your first command. It looks like there are more commands above it. Maybe someone was entering commands on this thing before you? There aren't many more. At the top of this list appears to be the very first command. Type switch 2, Vagabond. You activate screen 2. The signal is garbled and you have no idea what you're looking at. Some sort of filthy beggar pleading for help? No one is around and nothing is happening. You seem to be locked out of any sort of interaction with whatever's happening on this monitor. Vagabond, type switch 3. It's another one of these rapscallions. This monitor is locked too. You can't tell him what to do. Not that you really want to, since it just looks like more confusing nonsense to you. You consider switching to screen 4, but decide against it. You have a feeling that whatever's there would just confuse you even more, and you don't even really care all that much anyway. Vagabond, type home. All 4 screens activate. Together, they display a countdown, starting at 4 hours and 13 minutes. Vagabond, type reboot. You can't! Nothing is working anymore. The timer seems to have disabled the keyboard. Vagabond, be the mayor. Enough of this nonsense. You're an important mayor, and this absurd contraption has wasted enough of your time. You've got a city to govern with a carapaced fist, which is to say firm yet polished and supple as the situation demands. Anyway, this will help you kill some time while you wait for the clock to count down. Vagabond, create employment opportunities for the citizen cans. You temporarily dismantle City Hall to free up all the can power available to create a vigilant town militia. You divide them into two groups, marking them with distinct teams and ranks using the piece of white chalk and the motor oil. You then organize them in phalanx across the countryside before preparing for a stiff training regimen. When you're through with them, your forces will be a well-oiled machine. Chalk another one up to bold leadership. Vagabond, lead your men to victory. You may waste more than 4 hours on this tomfoolery. Checkmate. Vagabond, mourn the loss of Citizen Tab. Your caffeinated jittering must have agitated all the little bubbles curiously hidden in the liquid, creating too much pressure in the can. You speculate this is why it exploded as you nervously eye the timer. You're starting to wonder what will happen when it reaches 0. Maybe it would be best not to be near when this happens. Minutes in the future, though perhaps not as few minutes as implied by circumstance, a peregrine mendicant trundles precious cargo beneath the gleam of the celestially ominous. Vagabond, go outside and get some sun. You say a bittersweet goodbye to your beloved city. It's time to move on to greener pastures, by which of course you mean an arid, sandy wasteland upon which nothing green has grown for years. The door shuts behind you. The panel on the door becomes illuminated. As you ponder over the marks on the panel, you hear another mechanical sound overhead. Clank. Clank. The LCD panel appears to have a touchscreen interface. Vagabond, curiously prod the funny-looking spirograph. It appears the funny-looking spirograph room is locked. The floor rotates a full 360 degrees beneath you, while the surrounding wall seems to stay put. Vagabond, select the triangly fractal. The triangly fractal room does not appear to be locked. The floor turns 120 degrees and the door opens. You go through the door to find another room. It's the same size as the other one you just wasted all that time in, while a clock was ticking down to something which may or may not be your doom. Maybe there is something in here that will help you escape. Against the wall there is another perplexing contraption. Against the opposite wall is some sort of control panel which catches your eye. It has 2 large screens, but only one appears to be active. There are fields for numbers which appear to be modifiable with dials to the right. Some numbers are already supplied by default, perhaps entered by the previous user. There are a few buttons below, the largest one bearing the symbol marking this room, and it looks like there's a meter stick propped up there for some reason. Vagabond, attach your trusty knife to the meter stick. You immediately craft a measuring spear, or possibly the most advanced form of alchemy employed thus far. This is obviously the most important thing to do first. Obviously. Or it would obviously be the most important thing to do if you had remembered to bring your trusty knife. You feel so insecure without your trusty knife. It makes you want to slit your wrists, or at the very least, flog your carapace with some sort of measuring apparatus. Vagabond, look at the other wall. You examine the perplexing contraption across the room. Poke, prod. You of course have no idea what it could possibly do. You adopt the only obvious course of action, which is to poke and prod it with your handy ruler. You're quite sure this is what science is all about. Vagabond, press the triangle pattern. You go back to the control panel, which probably obviously controls that gizmo, and you push the big blue button, which is obviously probably the most obvious thing to push. You appearify a pumpkin. Vagabond, examine pumpkin. It seems this mysterious gourd was transported, appearified, from a specific time and location somewhere on this planet you are on. You wonder if the machine, a purifier, will take any object that exists at whatever time and location you supply. There's a symbol carved on the pumpkin. You don't know what it means, and you doubt it will ever prove relevant in any way. Vagabond, devour pumpkin. Nibble, nibble. You consider dining on the ripe flesh of the plump vegetable, but your curiosity about the purifier gets the better of you. You try to sneak a nibble from the pumpkin nonetheless. Vagabond, inspect green buttons. You first examine the attractive green buttons. The icon for the one on the left is that house shape you've seen plenty of times before. The right one, on closer inspection, appears to be the map for this underground facility, with an X marking its center. Vagabond, press green button on right. You push the button. All of the numbers change. Perhaps these are the coordinates for the location of the center of this facility, along with the local date and time? If this is the case, it would make a useful reference point for your current bearings. Vagabond, fiddle with the dials. One way to find out would be to attempt to purify something from this facility. It should be easy to zero in on a location relative to the center because you have an uncanny knack for tracking precise distances you have already traversed in whatever units you choose. Your handy ruler gives you a good clue as to the basic unit of human measurement. You will go with that. Hey, careful, weirdo. Vagabond, purify your trusty knife. You nudge the coordinates very slightly and bump the elevation up by 0.5 human measurement units. You'll make sure to keep the time approximately what it was to begin with. You purify your trusty knife. Vagabond, purify Cantown. You nudge the numbers a bit more and purify a bunch of cans. This is so much more efficient than walking back to the other room to get them all. You are to believe the time is at a premium after all. Vagabond, disappearify the pumpkin. Dum 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 dum. Does this machine look like a disappearifier to you? Honestly, the idea that a purifier could both purify and disappearify things is so laughably ridiculous, you wish someone would disappearify your brain and reappearify it with a brain that is more smart and less dumb. Vagabond, use trusty knife to carve spook schema into pumpkin. What the heck are you talking about? That idea makes no sense at all and is basically meaningless. Try using that mushy stuff in your gourd next time. Instead, you just carve off the top, exposing a decadent cache of gorgeous seed-laden ambrosia. Needless to say, you consume all of it rather quickly, but it turns out to be too gross for us to watch. Vagabond, move spirograph switch. You cannot move it. It has a spirograph-shaped indentation and possibly will require a special kind of key to turn it. Vagabond, purify firefly out of the amber. You release your blinky new friend. You will give her a name when something suitably whimsical occurs to you. Vagabond, adjust time dial to purify rotten pumpkin. The past. You and Serenity consider new ways to waste more time with the purifier. You are assuming she is a girl firefly, even though you are not really sure that fireflies can be girls. You target the extremely tasty rotten pumpkin that was sitting in the other room hours ago. It seems the purifier cannot purify something if it will create a time paradox. It says paradoxify. A gelatinous ghost pumpkin purifies and quickly dissolves into a pile of unappetizing sludge. Vagabond, purify the grate over the entrance to the facility. Serenity says, let's go. Serenity blinks a message of urgency. You nearly forgot that while trapped in amber, she was a witness to all of your tomfoolery and dilly-dallying in the other room, and knows the timer is about ready to expire. It is time to get this show on the road and escape. You reset the coordinates with the right green button again, and this time only adjust the elevation by approximately 10 human measurement units. Sound. Vagabond, hasten to the exit post-haste. Hurry up! Is this really necessary? Chomp, chomp, chomp. This is incredibly silly. Psych. Oh wait. Unpsych. You attempt the rare and highly dangerous ×5 cliffhanger combo and fail. We're doing it, man. We are making this happen. Sound. Vagabond. Ascend. A continent westward. And years in the past, but not many. An ocean westward, and years in the past, but not many, but it is many. Empty. End of Act 2. Dear John, Colonel Sassacre's daunting text of blah 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 blah. The Colonel assumes men marginally less soused than he on a sweltering Mississippi evening. In true Sassacre form, he puts his astonishing julep intake to use with the textbook execution of Butterfinger's solitaire. Dear John, you are no doubt reading this as a handsome and strapping young man. Why, the main grit needed to lift the book is itself a sign of your maturity, not even to speak of the can't read that. The blank needed to grasp the nonsense of Sassacre's fine-tested mischief. I am so proud of you, grandson? Yes, grandson. How I wish I could have delivered this heirloom to you in the flesh. But I'm afraid it is not in the cards. Good gosh, it's written. Listen, I try. Not even to speak of the wisdom needed to grasp the nuance. I wish I delivered it in the flesh, but I am afraid it wasn't in the cards. For you see, John, like you, this book must yet take a journey. Its journey will end on the final day of my life, and even then will continue some, though I suppose that will be up to your father. Perhaps he will discuss it one day, when he and you are ready. But it is your journey I'm writing about, to wish you luck. There will come a day when you will be thrust into another world, and once you arrive, that is only the beginning. You will soon delve deeper into a realm of warring royalty in a timeless expanse. A realm of agents, exiles, consorts, and colonel sprites, of toiling underlings and slumbering denizens. A realm where four will gather, the heir of breath and seer of light, the knight of time and witch of space, and together they will ascend. John, if only you knew how important you were. I regret my passing came so early in your life, and yet I feel in my heart we have already met. But what I know for sure is that we will meet again. Until then, John, I do hope your father keeps you well fed. With love, Nana. P.S. Hoo hoo hoo. Act 3. A silly girl naps by her flowers. It is quite likely that she tired herself out with a variety of silly antics, as silly girls are often known to do. She may have a silly name too, or maybe not. It is hard to say for sure without asking her. But since she's slumbering peacefully, it'd be a shame to wake her up. You might as well just give her a name now. Enter name. Farm Stink Butt Lass. I guess her name is Farm Stink. Wake up. You try to roust Farm Stink from her slumber, but she is really down for the count. It looks like she's holding some sort of note. Retrieve arms from... They're right there, in plain sight. Look, they are flashing red. Drop pumpkin on Farm Stink. But pumpkin? You see no pumpkin, and frankly it is hard to imagine there ever was a pumpkin, in plain sight or otherwise. Anyway, that would be a really terrible thing to do to poor, sweet Farm Stink. Read note. Farm Stink? That is incredibly silly and a little bit rude. My name is... Next arrow with a heart on the end. Try again. Jade Harley. Examine room. Peas, squash, asparagus. Your name is Jade, and you have just woken from a restful nap. As usual, you have no recollection of having fallen asleep. You have quite a number of interests. So many, in fact, you have trouble keeping track of them all, even with an assortment of colorful reminders on your fingers to help you sort out everything on your mind. Nevertheless, when you spend time in your garden atrium, the only thing on your mind is your deep passion for horticulture. What will you do? Sound, Jade, play a silly flute refrain. Beautiful. Wow, you really suck at this thing. Maybe you should try playing an instrument you actually know how to play instead, like the one in your bedroom. Honestly, I have no idea where this flute even came from. Things seem to appear and disappear around here all the time, especially to your unending charging, any sort of large orange gourd that might be laying around. You consider throwing the flute down in disgust. Jade Captchalogue Flute. On second thought, it was a perfectly nice flute, and there is no reason to take your frustration out on it. You just need some practice. But before you captchalogue the flute, you will need to set your fetch modus first. Jade, set modus. You have a wide variety of fetch modi to choose from. You were really excited when your grandpa bought you this modus set for Christmas. He is totally radical, even if a little strict. You typically opt for the memory modus when it comes of matters of day-to-day practicality. There's Boggle, Pictionary, Monopoly, Yahtzee, Clue, Connect 4, Jenga, Battleship, Ouija, Guess Who, Operation, and Memory. Jade, select Memory. You set your modus to Memory and captchalogue the flute. You allot 9 cards to the modus from your deck, since that will be more than enough for your needs at the moment. The modus grabs 9 more cards for matching purposes. The flute is split up on 2 blank cards and mixed randomly in the grid. To retrieve the item, you must first pick one card, then pick its matching card. For the typical Skillodexer, this modus presents a frustrating guessing game and a lot of wasted time on mismatching, but you like it because you seem to have a knack for always guessing it right on the first try. Jade, squeal like a piglet and fertilize some plants. It is an awfully silly idea and basically a waste of everyone's time. You will predictably disregard this thought and focus on more sensible objectives at once. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. You captchalogue the bag of fertilizer. Jade, consult colorful reminders. You tend to have a lot of things on your mind at once, and you can be a little forgetful, so you keep a variety of colored strings on your fingers as reminders. Each one means there is something different to remember at a certain time. In fact, looking at your index finger reminds you that there is something important to remember now. It is your friend John's birthday. The green string also reminds you that John's birthday package will arrive today. The blue string also reminds you that John's birthday package will arrive today, though in a way that means something slightly different. You are further reminded that you have some things to do outside your house soon, but you should stop by your room first for some supplies, and most importantly, see if John is online and wish him a happy birthday. Jade, captchalogue the pumpkin growing next to you. You snap up that pumpkin, which seems suitably ripe for the taking. Hopefully, the safety of your Skillodex will prevent it from being spirited away like so many of its ephemeral predecessors. Jade, exit this room. You make your way to the middle of the garden atrium, where a stairwell joins the 4 atrium wings. Upstairs is your grandfather's laboratory, as well as your bedroom. Jade, captchalogue something. Your memory modus is hardly any fun without much stuff in it. You decide to stock up on fresh produce to fill some more cards. You pick a juicy red crab apple. You pick a nice looking key lime. Then a delicious mandarin orange. Those are your favorite. And finally, a ripe yellow Eureka lemon. Modus fun aside, you feel it is impossible to have too many fresh fruits and vegetables on hand. Jade, go upstairs to bedroom. You almost never use the stairs. You transportalize upstairs. Just above is your room. You enter your bedroom. On this side of the room, you are immediately confronted with numerous artifacts highlighting your various interests. You are an avid follower of cartoon shows of considerable nostalgic appeal. You have a profound zeal for marvelous and fantastical fauna of an anthropomorphological persuasion. You have an uncanny knack for nuclear physics, and not infrequently can be found dabbling in rather advanced gadgetry. You enjoy sporadic fits of narcolepsy. Your love of gardening transcends the glass confines of your atrium, and you are at times prone to patterns of precognitive prognostication. You consider very briefly the question, what will you do? But you quickly realize this is only one half of your room, and therefore hosts only half of your interests to choose from. Jade, explore the other half of your room. Over here, there are yet more articles of your aforementioned interests, and then some. Additional telltale signs of your enthusiasm for nostalgic television mingle with your assortment of game-hunting firearms. You're a skilled markswoman. Though your crosshairs would never settle on an innocent creature, anthropologically persuaded or otherwise. Your work table is littered with equipment to facilitate your tinkering. For you, experimentation is not a particularly exact science, and you lean heavily on sharp intuition for consistently and eerily optimal results. Nevertheless, you have still not been able to get that broad, flat gizmo to work. Lost my place, which is a design you have borrowed from one of your grandpa's more mysterious inventions. You are a great admirer of his, and you are not alone. Your grandfather is a world-renowned explorer, naturalist, treasure hunter, archaeologist, scientist, adventurer, big game hunter, billionaire extraordinaire. He has taught you everything you know. But in spite of all his lessons, it is still difficult to escape his stern lectures when you are on the way out of the house to run your errands. He spends most of his time in the grand foyer, stewing in his own intensity and charisma. Today will likely be no exception. Among the errands you have planned is to venture out and find your pet and best friend named Becquerel. This animal must be fed, and he will not be happy if he is not. And if he is not happy, then you will not be happy. But first you should really dig out your computer and say hi to John. Now, what will you do? Jade, quickly retrieve firearms from wall. Rifle kind. You equip your trusty hunting rifle. There would be hell to pay if Granddad caught you leaving the house without it. Jade, wonder why the design on your shirt changed. Not right there. There isn't much to wonder, really. You left the wardrobe afire on its randomization setting. You may contemplate which shirt design you favor the most and commit to that setting in the near future. Jade, capture the nearest Squiddles doll and hug it. Just before you can grab one, Tangle Buddies. The powerful electromagnets concealed in their underbellies become activated, and two of them get all tangled up with each other playfully. You capture the Tangle Buddies. Jade, lose interest in fauna and never speak of it again. Oh, but you could never do that. What marvelous creatures they are. What a daring dream to combine the finest qualities of humanity with the elegance and nobility of the animal kingdom. How you wish you could know their world, to hear one night those muted paw pads traipse up your stairs. A low but friendly growl unsettles your slumber, and as the sorper seeps from your eyes, they will detect a sharp pair of ears cutting moonlight. A mysterious woven tongue invites. Wouldn't these ears suit you? Would not this proud long snout assist you in the hunt? No need to answer. Words slough from the busy mind like a useless dead membrane as a more visceral sapience takes over. Something simpler is in charge now, a force untouched by the concerns and burdens of the upright. That ferrical yoke, the bipedal toe. It now drives you through the midnight rush, your paws whisking through creepers, unearthing with each bold stomp. Bright odors demanding investigation, but not for long, as you and your new friend must claim the night with piercing howls moonward. You eat a weird bug and don't even care. Jade, pick up your toys. Speaking of which, you pick up and admire one of your manthro chaps. They are wonderful friends and always cheerful and pleasant fellows. Why, dear Mr. Coxcomb, however will you be received at the barnyard gala without the trappings of a proper gentleman? Each man-throw chap comes with a number of accessories, including articles of formal attire, a vaccination kit, and a dishwasher-safe slop trough. Jade, organize all your dolls. You gather all your dolls into a rather cozy-looking pile. Jade, change wardrobe of fire setting. You deactivate the wardrobe of fire's randomization mode, and set it to cycle through these 3 shirt designs. The decision was tough, but you think you came to the best possible conclusion. Jade, look out window. It is another beautiful day in your neighborhood. It is peaceful and quiet as usual. A rather imposing volcano looms over your house, which has been inactive for centuries. Though dormant on the surface, the volcanic activity deep underground provides your house with a source of geothermal power. You're not sure why your grandfather decided to draw from this source of energy when he had unlimited power of the atom at his disposal, but it has been this way for as long as you can remember. You've chalked it up to your family's long-standing propensity for eclectic first what? Chalked it up to your family's long-standing propensity for eclectic fursuits. Wait, you mean pursuits? Okay, she really got me. Jade, retrieve fursuit from magic chest. What is this nonsense about fursuits? You do not own a fursuit. You think anthropomorphic fauna are really cute and enchanting and all, but it has never occurred to you to dress as one. Sure, it is fun to imagine what it would be like to run wild with a pack of wolves, or purr and frolic with a litter of kittens, but dressing up as an animal seems ridiculous. It would still just be a silly girl draped in a raggedy synthetic tufty piece of crap. And seriously, who are you trying to kid with that sort of baloney? Anyway, it is not a magic chest, it is your gadget chest, which you have adapted for storing a number of useful gizmos. It was once your oracle's trunk, a gift from your grandfather, of course, and still contains many silly fortune-telling knickknacks, all of which are completely bogus. Jade, open chest. Among the fortune-telling knickknacks are these items: a crystal ball, plus compulsory velvet pillow, a tarot deck, a magic 8-ball, a magic cue ball, and one of your favorite books all time, Problem Sleuth. Among the useful gizmos are of course your computer, which you keep inside a fun lunchbox for easy transport, and a couple of gizmos you keep handy so you don't always have to make the long trip to the kitchen. There is a cookalizer for preparing delicious meals, and a refrigerator. I think that's a name which is clearly a wacky variation on the much more common household item, the refrigerator. Probably not what I just said. Jade, examine magic 8-ball and magic cue ball. Not exactly. These things are stupid and useless. The magic 8-ball isn't being frustrating. When the magic 8-ball isn't being frustratingly ambiguous, its forecast is always wrong. You have tested it numerous times with certain facts you know to be true. This is its reply when you ask it if it is your friend John's birthday today. See? Stupid. You guess maybe it could be used as a reverse prediction device, and always trust the opposite of what it says, but that seems dumb to you. And anyway, the thing gives you a bad vibe. You might consider smashing it, but you're a little superstitious about whatever ominous consequences that might have, even if the occult talisman in question is a cheap piece of garbage. The magic cue ball, on the other hand, is said to make predictions with alarming precision and specificity. Unfortunately, it lacks a portal on its surface that allows you to view the prediction. You put both of these pieces of junk back in the box. Jade, captcha-log refrigerator. You take the refrigerator. You might as well grab the cookalizer too. No portable kitchen is complete without it. You take your lunch top too, because obviously you're going to be using that pretty soon. Whoops, there goes your flute, but who cares? Before you go out to feed Beck, you'll need to prepare a meal for him. You clear some space on your work table so you can set up your refrigerator and your cookalizer. Just for fun, Jade allows you to take a stab at matching the cards to use the gizmos. It doesn't present much of a challenge to her, so she figures she might as well step aside, providing a few generous hints. No, no, warmer, warmer, colder, colder, cold, warmer, yes, no, cold, ice cold, warmer, warmer. You selected the key lime. Way to go. Try again. Hot. Wait, no, cold. Really cold. Frozen freaking tundra. Take another crack at this. Congratulations! You advance your matching skill to a new level. Yukon Hero, Legacy of the Frostbite Amputee. Jade is beginning to regret breaking the fourth wall for this ill-advised escapade. Okay, one more time. If it were known in advance how terrible you were going to be at this matching game, the author may have given a second thought to preparing this cool interactive Flash application. Look at all these fruits on the loose. Good luck trying to settle them down. You deploy the gadgets yourself. Jade, stick fruits in the refrigerator to keep them fresh. These fruits are unlikely to become less impudent anytime soon, regardless of where they are stored, but you stick them in anyway. You take a look at the refrigerator's rotary interface. You wonder what he is in the mood for today. Jade, press the steak button. Okay, well, it's a rotary dial, so there are no buttons to press, but whatever, that doesn't really matter. You dial up a thick T-bone steak, of which you are sure Becquerel is in the mood for, because he is in the mood for steak every day and is never in the mood for anything else. But he does like his steak well cooked. Thaw, cook, irradiate. Mushroom cloud. Jade, lightly irradiate steak. He does prefer his steak rare after all, but you will not dignify the thought of turning the knob much further because you are not stupid. You captulog the irradiated steak and save it for your trip outside. You probably shouldn't waste much more time. You wouldn't want all those nice depleted steak isotopes to settle down. Jade, examine the atomic base by your bed. You wouldn't exactly call it an atomic base, but it is heavily customized to accommodate a high level of musical virtuosity. It is the perfect instrument for the electrically spirited. You've turned the strings way down, of course, because your stumpy arms can't reach the low notes. You switch your electric bass to its advanced setting, but you promptly switch it back, since obviously it's too complicated to play in person like this. The default setting is your preferred mode for casual jamming, and since you can't possibly waste enough time playing music, casual jam is exactly what you're gonna do. Sound, Jade, play a hauntingly relaxing bass line. Jade, captulog bass. You take the portable amp from the wall socket too. Jade, open lunch top. You like to make yourself comfy in your plushie pile before getting down to business with your computer. Jade, get down to business. Jade, activate Pester Chum. Hey look, John is online. Hooray! Also, it looks like Dave pestered you about something yesterday, but you missed it. Jade, pester John. Happy birthday, John! You greet John, but he does not respond. He is undoubtedly gallivanting around his house in a state of barely restrained birthday mirth. He may also be retrieving the 2 packages and the 2 envelopes which you are certain came in the mail for him earlier. You will wait a little while and see if he returns before you head out. Jade, see if Dave left you a sweet new wrap. It does not appear so, thank gosh, but you just never know with that crazy cool guy. So cool. Dave says, hey. Oh, you're asleep again, aren't you? Or do you even know if you are? I still don't know how that works. He began pestering her at 23:14. It's not like nothing means anything. It's so cool getting hecka chumped by your coquettish dang riddles all the time. I don't know why I believe anything you say. I'm like the Grand Marshal of gross chumpage, waving around my baby chump ductor baton. Assistant Director of Chumpography, celebrated author Ernest Chumpingway. Wait, weak, Chumpelstiltskin, Chumple dip crap. That sounds so stupid. Yeah, you're asleep. Yes, no? ASL S equals species? Baboon? Kangaroo rat? If kangaroo rat, yif twice, please. Blizz. Okay, well, you're not saying anything, so I guess whether you're non-awake or unasleep or whatever, you're just not around and I'm wasting good material. Even worse, I'm wasting a killer persona here. Like, I don't know, like a wide-open V-shaped leotard and a frick ton of body paint. Like some sinewy back, arcing Cirque du Soleil looking motherfricker. Always low to the ground, getting a good prowl on, like I dropped my keys in the dark. Nimblest son of a bench who had the gumption to glue a nasty pair of latex cat lips to his face for a reason that wasn't a joke. Jade, hey, where are you? Seriously, I'm sitting here tonight with a freaking bag of kibble jacked open on my lap and primed for a gosh dang bear, and you're gone. By the way, my name is Aquet Permusk, hardest buttock in the jungle, tempered steel. Hey, yeah, just wanted to give you this remix I finished. Here. He sent her exploreremix.mp3. So yeah, you don't have to respond to any of that, by the way. I'll probably forget half the crap I said anyway. Talk to you tomorrow. Sound Jade, open fresh jams. Oh good, I'm not gonna play any of that. You open Fresh Jams media player and add Dave's remix to the playlist. Jade, open Echidna and go to mspaintadventures.com. Oh. Boggle vacantly at these shenanigans. Begins to dawn on you that everything you just did may have been a colossal waste of time and intermission. You open your web browser and visit MSPA. You navigate to a random page in the middle of the latest epic. Looks like he was just finishing up some sort of weird tangential intermission here. Whatever it clearly advanced the plot in no relevant way whatsoever. End intermission. Sound Midnight Crew, Act 1031. Diamond something. Clubs, deuce. Hearts, boxcars. And spades, slick. Casino. The felt. Midnight Crew. You've killed a little Tide, but still no sign of John. Jade pestered Dave. See a fur affinity open in the background? Yes. Began pestering him at 12:36 on 4:13. She says, "Hi, Dave. Just checking." I don't remember if this is one that I've read already. He says, "Hey, sup?" And she says, "Not much. Sup with you, bro? Hee hee hee." And he says, "Haha, good one. Sorry, being chill. I guess you know how it goes." Okay, I remember Mr. Cool Guy. Okay, he'll not open the package. He'll lose it, but it's okay. Sound Dave Strife. Well, hang on. He'll lose it, but it's good actually. I have to... Dave says, "I never get how you know these things." And she says, "I don't know. I just know that I know." And he says, alright. And she says, "Anyway, I have to go. I have to feed Beck, which is always a bit of an undertaking." And he says, "Man, if I were you, I would just take that freaking devil beast out behind the woodshed and blow its head off." And she says, "Hee hee hee, I don't think I could if I tried." And he says, "Yeah, say hi to your granddad for me." Okay, yeah, we already read this too. Sound Dave Strife. Goodness. Okay, I didn't get... He's just doing his own thing. Round 1, Strife. Rose is online. Jade, pester Rose. Rose says, "I require a font of frighteningly accurate yet infuriatingly non-specific information. Do you know where I can find a wellspring of this sort?" And Jade says, "Haha, yes, okay, but we can't talk for long." And Rose says, "You have plans?" And Jade says, "Well, yes, I do, but it's just that you will lose your internet connection soon, and we won't talk again for a pretty long time. Not until you enter." Rose says, "Enter?" And Jade says, "Yeah." Rose says, "This is what I was talking about. This was my itch that needed scratching. My avarice for the inscrutable. It is limitless." And Jade says, "Lol, what do you want to know?" Rose says, "You've been insisting today was the big day. We would all play a game you didn't know the name of. A game you said I'd get in the mail, and I did. One that would help me answer some questions. But Strider is being obtuse. I can't catch John at his computer. You don't even have the game yourself. And on top of all that, my internet is unstable. So you're sure today is the day?" And Jade says, "There sure are a lot of challenges, but yes, I am sure. Dave is cool. You know he will come around when the time is right. He has a lot of work to do first. So do you. You'll need to keep searching for a stable signal and a power source. It'll be hard, but don't give up. And don't worry about me either. Focus on playing with John first. It all starts with you two." And Rose says, "Is there nothing else you can say to prepare me for this? I'm sure you think a little of blithely upsetting dark forces with Grandpa Moreau over there on Hellmurder Island, but honestly, I've only read a few books on it." And Jade says, "Haha, dark? That's ridiculous. I don't really know what to tell you other than it's not going to be what you think it is. And most importantly, you will have your questions answered, but they will be the ones you haven't thought to ask yet. Just be patient and be brave, you'll see. It will be fun. Uh-oh, looks like you've got to go. Take care, Rose. Heart, heart, heart. She ceased pestering her at 12:54. Jade, be the other girl. You're now the other girl, several hours in the future. It appears a secret passage in the mausoleum has been opened. It's getting awfully toasty in here. You gather up your belongings, including your dead cat. Rose, descend. Jade, stop being the other girl and pester John again. You spent enough time for now concerning yourself with the future of your friends. John will not be available until later. By then he will have his hands full, as will you. You pack up your lunch top and get ready to take care of some business downstairs. Sound, Jade, descend. Try as you might, you can't stop your mind from drifting to the fate of your friends. You dwell on a particular configuration of reminders on your finger. Strike. Sassacre. Also in the future, he's done. Okay, does it blue? Yes, looks like it. But years, not hours, under bare white branches a sentry wakens. Nom nom. Z001, some stuff about capture codes and punch card alchemy. Is anyone actually reading any of this? Or are they all dead? I don't know if anyone besides us is even still alive and playing the game, or if anybody even really cares what I have to say. Rose said I should add some stuff to this FAQ if anything occurred to me, so I guess I'm doing that. I figure at the very least it will be a good reference for just us to use. But Dave probably won't read any of this because he's sort of this whopping stupid horse butt. Whatever. I finally figured out what those weird codes on the back of the capture log cards are for. Well, maybe not what they're always for, but a way that Spurb has exploited them for an in-game purpose. Every captured item stamps the card with a unique code, and a gizmo in Spurb called the Punch Designix will punch a unique pattern of holes in a card which is derived from that code. The punched card can then be used with other gizmos to duplicate the item and/or combine it with another item. I got to thinking about this, and with my amazing hacker skills with the Z, I noticed a trend. The whole pattern is based on a fairly simple cipher, converting the capture code to binary, and then the binary pattern is punched, where a 1 is a punched hole and a 0 is an unpunched slot. So, here's the table just to be clear. Oof. There are a couple oddball characters, exclamation point and question mark at the end to bring it up to 63. 0 through 63 equals 64 total, i.e. 6 bits, because the binary representation of the capture code characters are 6 bits each, which have a range of 0 to 63. So for instance, the capture code for the hammer is Z7UN6BI. Look up the index for N first, which is 49. The binary for 49 is 110001. Keep doing that for all the characters and you get this mess. Okay, that's the pattern that will be punched on the card, but the bits are arranged top to bottom, left to right in 4 columns like this, or on a punch card like this. Okay, wow, that pretty much looks like crap, but you get the idea. So, to combine 2 items, you just overlap 2 punch cards, and the places where both cards have a hole will show through. so it's sort of like a bitwise and operation on both cards. The new pattern gives you the code for the new item. For instance, combining a code for a hammer, NZ7UN6BI, and a pogo ride, DQMMJLEK, gives a new code with less hulls, obviously, which translates to 126GH48G. That whole pattern went on to make the pogo hammer, which is so rad you have no idea. I've also been wondering if you can combine more items in other ways, like a bitwise OR. That means combining the cards to get more holes, not less, i.e., the new pattern has a hole for every hole on either card. This pattern would be accomplished by double punching a card, like 2 codes, 1 card. I've got to try that sometime. But there are some mysterious things about all this. First of all, with the hole slots, there are 48 bits in total, which means there are almost 300 trillion possible codes. And 300 trillion sounds huge. When you consider it is supposed to account for all conceivable items, including all the wacky combinations of stuff, it suddenly doesn't seem that big. Okay, John. This leads me to believe that not every combination of item has a viable duplicate. But this is kinda obvious anyway, since there are many combinations of punch cards that will produce either a blank card with AND, or a totally punch card with OR. So there are a lot of dud combinations out there, and many that will just lead to the same pattern. Like for instance, a gun and an atom bomb would make some sort of ultimate death ray, but for that matter, a shoehorn and a potted plant could lead to the exact same pattern. So weird. Also, it seems like combined items will always have patterns with either much fewer holes or more holes than more ordinary items, which will occupy the vast meaty middle of all possible patterns. It is strange and counterintuitive that more complex objects have simpler patterns, but hey, there you have it. But all this sort of makes me guess this system can't be cracked in some way. Like, if you have a complicated item and you want to extract simpler item components from it, there can be, I said can't. There might be some algorithm for dividing the pattern you want, deriving, or at least narrowing down the possibilities. There might also be ways of charting through the simpler patterns on both ends of the bit spectrum and pinning down the ones that will make cooler stuff. Who knows? I want to ask Jade about this because she's really good at this sort of thing somehow, even though she doesn't have my elite hacker cred. Too bad she makes herself so scarce all the time. Jade, if you ever read this, let me know what you think. Huh. You enter the laboratory. Rose, look for mad scientists. There are no scientists to be found, mad or otherwise, or anyone for that matter. The lab appears to be deserted. There is a kiosk, though. It looks like the kiosk monitors the lab's enormous hub grid. Jade, transportalize as far down as you can go. This is as far down as you can go. The grand foyer is still a few floors down, but the transportalizer on that level is blocked by one of Grandpa's impressive big game trophies, and you just don't think he would cotton to someone moving it. Speaking of which, here are some of his trophies now. He has 1,000,000 of these ghastly things. You really dislike them. Jade, proceed. You hop down a level. Granddad also likes to accumulate valiant knights from his travels. These are pretty cool, you guess. Jade, keep going. Oh yeah, how could you forget about his stash of decrepit mummies? Gosh, you hate these things. Jade, don't stop. This is your grandfather's collection of what he refers to as his beauties. No lovely lady will be fit for his collection, unless her portrait has spent at least 20 years bleaching in the front window of a beauty parlor, a sort of establishment he's plundered no less frequently than ancient tomes. You guess they were sort of like your sisters while growing up, and you were always encouraged to look up to them. They are all awfully pretty ladies, you suppose, but it was always hard to get as excited about them as Grandpa. Jade, study hard and keep your rifle at the ready. When an adventure summons, I know you'll rise to the task and take your rightful place among the daughters of Eclectia. That old coot sure is a bag of wind. Jade, complete your descent. You reach the ground level. This is the stupid thing blocking the transportalizer. It is unspeakably hideous. Down to the southeast hall, is the grand foyer. You'll have to cross through it to leave the house. Looks like someone's pestering. Looks like someone's pestering you, even though you thought you logged off? Jade, answer. Carcinio geneticist who will be Gray, began trolling Jade at 1304. Gray says, "Hi again, idiot." And she says, "Oh no." And Gray says, "So I guess today is finally the day you frick everything up." And she says, "Angry face, big O." He says, "Is there nothing I can do to change your mind?" And she says, "You can leave me alone. How can you even be talking to me after I blocked you and after I logged out?" And he says, "You don't get that I am better and smarter than you in every way forever. You don't get that because you are incredibly stupid." And she says, "I get there you're a jerk and you should shut up. Goodbye, you jerk." And she blocked him at 1306. Rose, look at that kiosk. It looks like a mapping of each hub's index. It appears one of the hubs was recently unlocked. Rose, go to the center and do a goofy dance. At the center, you find a little stage that looks perfect for supporting a spectacularly silly dance. Or it would be if standing on it didn't make you a little nervous, and also if that didn't sound like a bad idea given the circumstances. It looks sort of like the various contraptions you've been deploying in John's house. You wonder what it does? Rose, attempt to plug laptop into nearby hub. Great, you just vaporized your dead cat. Oh well, ashes to ashes, you guess. There's gotta be a better way to deal with this lousy tree. Rose, examine fetch modus. Looks like you can choose between picking leaves or awkwardly uprooting the whole tree as you've been doing. You select leaf. You also turn off auto balance since its consequences can be a little mystifying sometimes. You gather up your items again in an order that places your laptop in conveniently accessible leaf. You're not sure why you didn't do this a lot sooner. Kind of a funny looking tree now, but your concern for structural elegance is at an all-time low. Rose, find the unlocked hub. As long as you're going to plug in your computer, you might as well find that hub. Here it is in Hub SN Lab 0413. It is unlocked and thus removable from the grid. You suspect this was the same beacon transmitting the unsecured signal that you were using earlier. You pick the laptop leaf from the tree. You plug your laptop into the hub, then capture log the hub and then the laptop. There must be a better place around here to set up your computer. This huge grid of electronics is sort of uninviting. You look around. Hey, what's that? Skynet Laboratory, established in 3 minutes, 14 seconds. It's another one of those ominous countdowns. You didn't notice it when you first entered the lab about a minute ago. It looks like this one may have been ticking for years. Whatever it's ticking down to, there isn't much time. You can only hope that when you turn on your computer again, there will be a connection invitation from one Mr. Strider. Again, in the future. Another timer winds down sideways. Home. And off it goes that way.